Next on Ebert and Roeper, Matt Damon and Heath Ledger and the Brothers Grimm.
Stop gambling with his life.
Rachel McAdams takes the red eye.
That poor girl over there being murdered.
And Rachel Weisz and Ray Fiennes in The Constant Gardener. We've got the early review.
Plus, the best gangster movie of the year in the Thumbs Up video segment.
Papa! Papa! It's all right. They're the Brothers Grimm. They're famous.
Right you are, son. The famous Brothers Grimm. Look at this strapping young lad. He is my daughter. And a fine wife he'll make some lucky man.
Matt Damon and Heath Ledger take on a twisted fairy tale in the Brothers Grimm. I'm Richard Roeper.
And I'm Roger Ebert. The Brothers Grimm is rich with material and short on organization. A confusing extravaganza of wild visual invention and a plot that goes nowhere quickly in several directions. Heath Ledger and Matt Damon star as Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm, or Jake and Will Grimm as they call themselves, although I am pretty sure that no one else called them that in Germany 200 years ago. They're con men who use magic tricks to fool gullible villagers into paying them protection from supernatural dangers.
Here's your money. Thank you, Brothers Grimm.
Oh, it's his dad! Get me down! What the hell are you doing? Trying to kill us?
I'm getting too bloody old for this.
Lena Headey plays a huntswoman who knows a lot about an enchanted forest where the magic is very real.
Show us the way, and I'll give you a kiss. That way. You sure, Grandmother?
That's just not right.
The Brothers Grimm was directed by Terry Gilliam, an enormously talented filmmaker who has trouble expressing that talent through screenplays that can involve the audience and make very much sense. Here we have elements of the real story of the Brothers Grimm existing uneasily with pure fantasy, with magic that is sometimes taken seriously and sometimes played for laughs, and with romance that seems to be about something other than romance. Watch any 30 seconds of the Brothers Grimm and it looks kind of spectacular. Watch it all and you feel adrift. I know what happens in the movie, but I have no idea what it's about or why I'm supposed to care. Thumbs down.
Well, I'm going to give it thumbs up, Roger, although I do agree with a lot of what you're saying. It's kind of cold and it's kind of a mess, but I thought it was a glorious mess, and it looks so great, and it is so interesting, and there's so much going on that I have to recommend it at a very mild level.
Well, you know, that's the kind of thinking that I sometimes get into myself, where you say so much work went into this movie and so much invention, and the sets and the special effects and the ideas and the costumes are so wall-to-wall that maybe you can just look at it as pictures.
Compared to, you know, so many other movies we see.
So that there is, I'm with you in what you're trying to say. It's just that I just didn't feel like there was any kind of an engine to pull me through.
I think the problem is there are too many engines pulling it in too many different directions, but I thought the performance was really good. And you're right, Terry Gilliam is a spectacularly talented artist, all the way going back to his Monty Python days. He has a great imagination. I think it would be interesting to see him do something with a little bit more of a linear setup and see if he could pull that off, because he's all over the place. But I am going to go ahead and recommend it. Okay, our next movie is The Baxter. Now, you know all those romantic comedies where the guy shows up at the wedding at the last minute and tells the girl not to marry that guy? Well, The Baxter is about the guy who's left at the altar. It's a clever premise, and writer-director, lead actor Michael Showalter from the comedy troupe The Stage has some success putting a screwball comedy twist on the conventional romantic trilogy. Showalter plays the hapless Elliot engaged to the vapid Caroline. Justin Theroux plays Caroline's high school flame.
What's that flower there? Is it new?
Bradley gave it to me.
He did? You did?
Yeah, it's a bluebonnet. I found it fighting its way through a little slab of city sidewalk. Goes with Caroline's eyes.
Very thoughtful of you, Bradley.
Yeah.
Now that's the usually terrific Elizabeth Banks kind of wasted here playing the clueless Caroline. Michelle Williams has some nice quirky moments as Cecil, who's obviously a better fit for Elliot.
You won't believe this, but it's actually what I'm reading at the moment. I know.
Wait. Before you say anything else, I need you to know that I am also reading the dictionary.
Really?
Yes. What letter are you up to?
Right now I'm working my way through G.
Oh, G. G is a classic.
One of the problems with the Baxter is Showalter's performance. He makes Elliot an over-the-top nerd who's really not very likable. We also get some head-scratching supporting performances from Peter Dinklage as a wedding planner and Paul Rudd as a friend of somebody's friend. Both actors are very funny, but they seem to have dropped in from other movies. The Baxter provides a few laughs, but only a few, so thumbs down for me.
Thumbs down for me, too. And, you know, Showalter's performance kind of suffers from comparison to the fact that everybody has just seen Steve Carell in The 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is kind of a similar character who's played in a much funnier and actually warmer way. But, you know, I'll defend Peter Dinklage. He is very, very funny. I love the kind of little sideshow he puts on when he's standing there on the steps outside the house.
Yeah, that's all real nice. I don't know what it has to do. I mean, you know, I'd like to see more of that character.
Well, in a movie
maybe,
where he made me laugh more than anybody else, I would rather they threw away the rest of the movie and kept him. I mean, if it really comes down to that, although I also felt Michelle Williams was very effective as the other girls. She's sweet, she has a nice smile. So these qualities I like, but I agree with you, the movie...
It's just kind of marginal and forgettable.
I mean, the movie is kind of the Baxter of movies.
Yeah. All right, I'll go along with that.
Our next movie is pretty Persuasion, and even though this is about teenagers, it is not rated, and it is not intended for younger viewers. Probably would have gotten an R. I don't know, maybe
an NC-17.
I don't know. The movie is an acid satire about high school girls who falsely charge a teacher with sexual harassment. Evan Rachel Wood stars as a cold and heartless rich girl who is followed around by a posse played by Elizabeth Harnois and Adie Schnall.
So, Brittany, this is Randa. Randa's from the Middle East. She's really sweet. She doesn't say much, though. Hi. I know all about the immigrant experience, how hard it can be. I'm Canadian.
Ron Livingston plays the teacher who is attracted to the girls but never does anything about it except to give his wife, played by Selma Blair, a skirt that, well, what do you know, it looks just like the school uniform.
I don't want to be late for class. I don't want Mr. Anderson to spank me.
The popular girl gets her sidekicks to go along with her in accusing the teacher of sexual harassment. She figures the publicity might be good for her acting career. Jane Krakowski plays the TV reporter who dives in head first.
The alleged victims, 3 15-year-old sophomore girls, all of whom have waived their right to anonymity. Their names are Kimberly Joyce, Brittany Wells, and Randa Azuni. I will continue to bring you more of the details of this stunning story as it unfolds.
Now, you know a movie is hard-boiled when James Woods plays the heroine's father and he is not anywhere near the meanest character in the movie. The movie benefits from another strong performance by Evan Rachel Wood, who was the good girl who goes bad in 13. The switch this time is that the evil popular girl is usually the enemy of the heroine in high school movies, but in Pretty Persuasion, there are no heroines, only villains and dupes. Thumbs down.
Thumbs down for me as well, Roger. And Evan Rachel Wood, who was very good in 13. I don't think she gives a good performance here. I thought it was kind of a one-note performance, and she almost mumbles her lines. The James Woods character, fine, you can cloak it in irony, but he's still an ugly, despicable creation. And this film, I think it wants to be like Heathers. It wants to have that, ooh, aren't we going to just push the limit and be a black comedy, but it's so smug about it and so pleased with itself that it never really gets into it. So I agree with your assessment of it. I kind of hated this movie. I hated the way it went and the way it carried itself.
Another thing that made me feel creepy, her friend is a Muslim girl who she carries around with her just so she can insult her. And you never know what that girl is thinking. I'm sure her feelings are hurt, but at the same time she's flattered that this pretty girl has made her into her friend. But it's like she's a punching bag, but she never gets to punch back or really express herself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the filmmakers would tell you, oh, we're commenting on all these stereotypes and everything, but I don't think they do a solid job of doing it, nor do they know anything, again, in a movie with a television reporter. It's so far off what
the only thing
really
right about the television reporter is there are some reporters these days who hitch onto a story and cover it for months on end. But in any event, coming up, Rachel McAdams stars in Red Eye.
A man went in there, but a lady's in there, too.
Our next movie is Red Eye. You know, the camera loves its star, Rachel McAdams, and I'm pretty fond of her myself. McAdams showed a flair for romantic melodrama in The Notebook, a knack for comedy in The Wedding Crashers, and Mean Girls. Now she's playing the woman in peril part to great effect in Red Eye. Slasher king Wes Craven dials down the bloodshed and relies more on psychological tension, with the bulk of the story set on an overnight flight to Miami. The ominously named Jackson Ripner, played by Cillian Murphy, who was the Scarecrow in Batman Begins, has more than a passing interest in hotel executive Lisa Reichert, played by McAdams.
No, I haven't got my Jack since I was 10 years old. Last name's Ripner.
Jack Ripner.
Jack, okay. That wasn't very nice of your parents.
No, that's what I told him before I killed him.
Turns out he wants her to make the call that will put a government executive within sights of a terrorist assassination. If she doesn't, her father will be killed.
We're going to move him to room 4080. Right. Pins 4882. And then I'm going to need you to take me.
Hello? Cynthia. Now, I'm not sure how all these conversations and confrontations go largely unnoticed, but then again, this is one busy flight with a cast of characters right out of the airplane movies. Now, even more disconcerting is a decision Lisa makes late in the film when she does everything she can to evade authorities when I think she should be running straight to them. Still, thumbs up for Red Eye for the crisp writing, Craven's imaginative camera work on that plane, and did I mention Rachel McAdams?
You know, she has had a very quick ascent from the hot chick to this.
Yes.
I mean, in 3 years. In 3 years, with this
forgot
movie,
about that.
With this movie and her 3 previous titles, I think she has positioned herself to become the next big item in Hollywood, because she shows here a very convincing performance. It's not just one of your thriller performances.
No, she's not just quivering and trembling and running away.
She has presence. She has conviction.
Yes.
She plays along with Cillian Murphy. They play the scenes for real. And what I like about the whole movie is what happens in this thriller, by and large, is what real people plausibly could do.
Yes.
There's nobody jumping out of a hotel and sailing down on a flag or jumping a car across a spaceship.
I think it does, in the final act, it does get a little conventional where people get awfully, gifted with clubs and their fists and things.
Yeah, but I mean, still, she's got a hockey stick. I mean, that's a better weapon than
I agree with what you're saying.
AK-47.
I mean, the way she reacts to his, when she finds out what the real deal is with this guy, because at first she thinks it's a possible romance, and the way it twists and turns. It's for Wes Craven, who I like a lot as a slasher director. He really, goes into a different direction with this.
This movie has some stuff in it besides slashing. And the thriller, I think, is kind of absorbing. Okay. Coming up later in the show, Rachel Weisz and Ralph Fiennes star in The Constant Gardener, our early review. And next, a movie you probably haven't heard of, but I'm going to tell you about it in our Thumbs Up video segment.
Ebert and Roeper's Thumbs Up video is brought to you by Nestle Raisinets. At the movies or at home, Raisinets.
New on video this week, The Ring 2 and Naomi Watts, which got 2 thumbs down from us. A Lot Like Love with Ashton Kutcher and Amanda Peet, which also got 2 thumbs down from us. And Beauty Shop with Queen Latifah, which I liked, and Richard voted thumbs down.
Well, I did, but out of those 3, I'd say please rent or buy Beauty Shop. The other 2, I mean, The Ring 2 is just a repeat of the first movie, and A Lot Like Love, I've already forgotten that. That was a lot like junk. Okay, my video pick this week. I've got a good one for you. It's the criminally underappreciated Layer Cake, a sort of British Goodfellas with Daniel Craig as Mr. X, a West End drug dealer who wants to make the proverbial one last score before retiring. Sienna Miller plays the girl who distracts Mr. X even as he's feeling the heat from all sides.
Patience. All good things come to those who wait.
Now, the DVD has some legitimate extras worth checking out, including 2 alternate endings and a Q&A in which director Matthew Vaughn notes that trailers used to be an art form unto themselves, but now they just give you the whole darn movie. Amen to him.
You may have never heard of my video recommendation this week, although Richard has, and I think he likes it. Trust me, this film may be unsung, but it has a very special charm. It's an offbeat German story named Schultze Gets the Blues, and it stars Horst Kraus as a man of about 65 who likes to play polka on the accordion and likes to take naps. And then he falls in love with Zydeco music that he hears on the radio from America. His polka club gets up a fund to send him to a music festival in Texas, and his whole life changes. Schultze is sort of a comedy and sort of a little bit deeper and more sad. It's about a man who never budges and the amazing results he gets when he does finally go into motion. He ventures through America with very little English, but with a simple goodwill that helps him survive. And somehow he makes us like him very much.
Okay, Layer Cake is available now. Schultze Gets the Blues will be in stores on Tuesday.
How are you? How are you?
We can't involve ourselves in their lives, Tess. There are millions of people. They all need help.
You know me well enough to know that I'm not going to take no for an answer.
Will you believe me if I tell you that that poor girl over there is being murdered?
Our next title is The Constant Gardener, based on the novel by John le Carré, and it's a thriller, a love story, an angry attack on drug companies, and a terrific movie. It opens next week. This is an early review. The key is the combination of the le Carré story and the brilliant direction of Fernando Morales, who made the great 2003 film City of God. Here he stars Ralph Fiennes as a British diplomat whose wife, played by Rachel Weisz, discovers that drug companies are testing a dangerous new product on poor Africans.
Whatever it is that you and Arnold are doing, I'd like it to stop.
Wow. Who have you been talking to?
No one. These are my concerns, all right? I'm thinking of your health.
No. No, you're not. They've asked you to rein me in, and you're doing it.
Fiennes' character tries to find out why his wife was murdered at an obscure outpost in Kenya. Pete Postlethwaite plays a man in the field who seems to have crucial information about how the drug company is conducting its fatal tests and who is being paid off.
Why did my wife come here? They had written this report. 16 pages of inspired guesswork. I was supposed to provide the missing clinical data. Testify on tape. Did you? This could be a raid.
Constant Gardener is much deeper and more complex than simply an attack on pharmaceutical companies. It sees how Africa has essentially been abandoned by the West and by many of its own political leaders so that things take place outside the law, because in most places there is no law at all, simply a man who you have to bribe. The counterpoint to this story is the way the hero falls more deeply in love with his wife the more he discovers about what she was really doing on that day that her life ended. Thumbs way up.
Yeah, thumbs way up for me as well, Roger. Ralph Fiennes as the center of this movie. It's such a complex performance because at first you think, this guy is such a wimp, such a do-nothing, and then, of course, as you say, he falls more deeply in love with his wife and becomes more passionate and angrier as he finds things out, and so he becomes a complete man and really a crusader as he uncovers these things. And beautifully photographed, some stunning shots. Great, Rachel Weisz, very good as well, and it is a complex story, and it's the kind of thing where afterward you really want to think about this movie and talk about it, and I appreciated it more in the days after I saw it, when I thought more about how everything came together.
I admired the way Morales and the screenwriter were able to condense and deal with that le Carré novel, which I had read, and which is like the movie, fragmented in the sense that you begin at the end, and then you work back through and try to figure out how the pieces fit, and he's good at that, Morales. That's why City of God works so well, because he had a dozen stories in the air and we could follow all of them. This movie is not as frantic visually because it doesn't need to be.
No, it doesn't need to be.
But it's also very, very, very alive in its visual style. And also, le Carré in this movie and in a very overlooked movie called The Tailor of Panama,
with Pierce Brosnan,
is moving on beyond the Cold War into some very, very interesting areas of moral ambiguity.
Yeah, this is a tough subject matter to handle because you get a book that's so complex like that. In lesser hands, it could have turned into this mishmash, but with the flashbacks, everything is clearly done, and you get to the final scenes, and I don't want to say anything about where it goes, but it makes sense that that's what would happen to the Ralph Fiennes character.
One of the places it may go to is the Academy Awards this year. Yes, it may be. We'll be back to recap this week's show right after this.
We're here to save your land from evil enchantments.
Okay, recapping the movies on this week's show, we split on the Brothers Grimm. I liked it a little more than Roger did. 2 thumbs down for the Baxter. 2 thumbs down for Pretty Persuasion, 2 thumbs up for Rachel McAdams and Red Eye, and 2 thumbs way up for the best movie on the show this week, The Constant Gardener.
And The Constant Gardener opens on Wednesday around the country. A very, very, very good movie. Next week we'll be back with an early review of Robert Redford, Morgan Freeman, and Jennifer Lopez in An Unfinished Life.
Visit our website at ebertandroeper.tv or at movies.com.
You know, August is usually a pretty weak month for movies, but I think this year there are a lot of good films that have come out in August, including the John Singleton film Four Brothers with Mark Wahlberg, and it's almost like an urban western with these 4 brothers coming back to avenge the death of their foster mother.
Kind of a remake of The Sons of Katie Elder with John Wayne. Also, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, by the way, on RottenTomatoes.com is the best reviewed movie of the year so far.
How about that?
And Grizzly Man by Herzog. A documentary about the guy that goes to live with the bears in Alaska and gets himself eaten up for his trouble.
It's so funny. I read this piece where some experts were saying, animal experts saying, you know, this movie Grizzly Man might be sending out the wrong message because people will get too close to bears. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He gets eaten by the bear.
My messages, stay away from bears.
Man here, bear here,
Right.
lunch in between. Remember, you can hear all our recent reviews at ebertandroeper.tv or at movies.com, and you can download our podcast at iTunes, and a lot of people are doing that. You can read my columns at suntimes.com, read Roger's reviews at rogerebert.com. Until next week, the balcony is closed.
Messes seem smaller with the Libman Wonder Mop. Large and absorbent, quick-drying strips. And thanks to the unique wringer sleeve, your hands never touch water. Libman, family made since 1896.
Don't search all over the internet to find the best deal. Just let your mouse lead you to Motel6.com, and you'll save time and money. Piece of cake, or piece of cheese.
When you refinance at LendingTree.com, you can save up to $200 a month with a lower rate. Just think what you can do with the money. When banks compete, you win at LendingTree.com.
1-800-CONTACTS. Exact same contact lenses delivered to your door for less than you're paying now. Call 1-800-CONTACTS. We deliver. You save.
Closed captioning for Ebert and Roeper is brought to you by...
Come into Meineke for new brake pads or shoes. Now only $29.95.
Meineke Car Care Center. Right service, right price.